Good morning and 12 o'clock afternoon. Willkommen to Medicare Gurus Friday edition. Thank you for joining us. We have our heady staff here. We have Jacob, Victoria, and Brad here having a wonderful conversation, about to have a conversation. Real quick, if you are new to this, every 12 o'clock Central Standard Time here at Medicare Gurus, we have actual agents on the floor coming in and out, discussing their dailies, comings and goings. We also talk about how sales works, Medicare ins and outs, and just having a good time. So today, usually on Fridays, what we like to do is just kind of go off the beaten path, kind of have a little philosophical deep dive, kind of talk about how our week went, but also just kind of reflect on how things are going. Today's theme that I was thinking about is leadership. And, everybody knows Queen Elizabeth passed away at 93, I believe. 96. Thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah, right. But it made me think about, her legacy and how she represented herself in the world, and made me think, all right, good conversation is about leadership, taking ownership of being a good leader. So I'll just put it out there, whoever wants to start, because we are growing in this industry here on our floor. We are going to be the leaders. People are going to come in and look at us and say, all right, how does this company run? So my just general question, whoever likes to start, what do you think makes a good leader?
I'll kind of start it not necessarily on what makes a good leader, but as a leader who I want to work with. Mm-hmm. Like we had the lady that came and interviewed yesterday. Within the first 30 seconds of just her talking, it's like, you're going to get hired here. You are. Because you just know how to talk. You know how to have a conversation. You're very lively. You're very enthused. Everything like that. I think once you kind of get into it and you know what you're looking for, it's super easy to see it really quick. Because we've had a few people come in and they're kind of timid, kind of sit back and they don't ask a lot of questions, or if they do answer, it's very short answers and we have to talk the whole time. Those people are going to be the same way on the phone.
You don't think it can be learned?
I don't think so.
Do you also, and just kind of bouncing off of that, do you think that some people just don't interview well?
I think you interview how you sell.
I think it's the equivalent of saying, I'm just not a good test taker. No, you just
dumb.
You didn't dumb. Or you just didn't learn it.
Yeah. So you're saying that you have a good sense of how that person is going to be successful at this place based on that interaction in the interview.
I mean, let's face it. This is not an entry level position. If you're interviewing it, we're looking for a candidate who has life experience, job experience, customer service experience. You know already how to talk to people. If it's a learned behavior, then you've already learned it. Whether it comes naturally or you fake it till you make it, bring your best self to the interview, because that's what we want to see. Because with these clients, you don't get a second chance at a first impression. Mm-hmm. You have to be on it right then and there, whether it comes naturally or whether you're putting it on for work, or whether you have to be awake, because they're not going to give you time to wake up or figure it out. You have to know what you're doing right then and there in the call.
Yeah.
When it comes to leadership, one word that just popped into my head, or phrase, was big hat, no cattle. Mm-hmm. You have to be honest and don't say a lot of things that you did or did not do or whatever that didn't really happen or that you cannot back up. If you're going to say something or tell somebody else to do something, you should be able to do it yourself. And leader means you're in front, and lead by example, not lead from behind and tell people to do a lot of things that you can't do. Mm-hmm. You set a good example, you be honest, you do it right, and you stay true to your word. That's a good leader. A good example, you look at the politicians today, or going back in history forever, they say a lot of things, they want to get the votes, but they don't come through with anything, very little, or they do the complete opposite of what they said they were going to do. Is that leadership? No, of course not. Leadership, in the sales environment, you want to be able to perform and be the example so that you can teach others how to perform. If you can't perform yourself, how are you going to lead other people to perform? They're going to outperform you, and they're going to do it their own way, and they're going to think you're an idiot. You know,
I think from a following point of view, from a learning point of view, it is easier when you can see that they're doing the actions that they're telling you, and you can go, oh, like that. Like you can see them, the behavior modeled, and sort of copy the behavior in case you didn't understand all the little quirks and, you know, how to actually do what they just said to do. When you can watch and see that they're doing that, it's a lot easier to be able, you know, learn and follow and start implementing those things when you see it in action all around you. Yeah.
You know, it's one thing to tell people how to do stuff, but if you can't do it yourself or have no history of doing it yourself,
Yeah.
you're not going to have the respect. Don't be a hypocrite.
Yeah.
You know, just be honest and have good morals, you know, show up on time, you know, all the simple stuff. Don't come in late and start telling people everything, you know, you're just losing respect, and people will not follow a leader like that, you know. So it's just basic stuff. It's just basic morals, you know.
I think following off of you here too, there's nothing more I hate. And I'm using hate kind of loosely here. It just irks me. It really
It
does.
abhors you.
Yes.
It's a mean synonym. It's a synonym.
There's that English degree you paid for. There's nothing more than I hate where you see like trainers or people like that, or somebody who's, you know, go back to the dreaded 6, 7, 8 figure agent talk, you know, whatever it is. The people that send out the mass emails. Okay. There's nothing more than I hate in those people, and they haven't touched an online enrollment in the past 7 years. Or they just did door-to-door 30 years ago, and then they hired a bunch of people underneath them, and all of it goes under their name. They're like, well, you know, I'm doing this now. You ain't doing crap. You don't know what's going on in this industry. If you're not actively doing it yourself, you have no idea how to lead other people into it. You're just a figurehead. You're not a leader. You're just in a position to where people put you on a pedestal because of your name and your title. That's it. So for people like that, I don't hate, and I don't want to say I don't have respect for, but professionally, when I see these people that try to claim that, you know, they are these spectacular agents that are doing it day in and day out, when they haven't ever even logged into Aetna and done an online application or anything like that. That's all just a fugazi of what it is.
I mean, yes, but to play devil's advocate for a second, they've risen to the ranks they have moved up in the chain, or they have created their own identity and are now like very, very successful by playing that game. So you can see the wizard behind the curtain. I get it, but do you see that there's no value with people like that?
All I'm saying is I wouldn't take sales advice from a guy that hasn't put his name on a policy in 5 years.
Yeah.
Because it changes every year. You know, you can talk about door-to-door knocking in the 90s and the 2000s. Guess what? It's not that time anymore.
No.
No, because how are you going to tell me how it is when you haven't been in it in 5, 10
When you
years?
haven't picked a phone up and called somebody who's 64 and has gotten called 75 times in the past week.
Yeah.
Those are the people that I just can't stand, because at that point too, it almost feels like you're almost disrespecting us because you don't know what it's like now. You know, you have this imaginary fairy tale land of what the good old days are and how easy it was to pick up the phone and have somebody answer. Now with screening companies and the number of calls people get, you have no idea what it is. And you can get the best marketing people. You can do whatever you want. At the end of the day, that person has to pick up their phone. And if people are conditioned nowadays to not pick up their phone, you have to circumvent that somehow and get them to call you.
So let's look at those two schools of thought then, okay? You have the one school of thought that is exactly what you said. Let's lean into that, where you have times change, technologies change, things change. And in order for you to embrace that change, you have to be in the trenches and you have to be making those calls. That's one school of thought. The other school of thought is, A 65-year-old is a 65-year-old is a 65-year-old. Nothing has changed. We are talking to these people and having a good conversation and building that rapport and building that genuine article. It doesn't matter if I haven't talked to anybody in 5 years. I can have a conversation. I can pick that up. And the reason I'm doing this is because I want to bring this back into leadership. Like, how do we, or I'm not saying choose a lane, but I'm saying, like, are we allowing that other school of thought to come into play? Are we only saying we don't want to hear that type of idea because you have not been in the trenches like us? Or is there a leniency, or is there a way to say, hey, a conversation is a conversation. I can talk to somebody, I can listen, and I can understand, and I can empathize. Let's just do this. Oh yeah, I am the greatest because I can have these genuine conversations.
I think it's really a good mixture of both, and kind of me and Victoria, we had to put that kind of on the line yesterday because we were doing Agent of the Month, and I can't win it, and now Victoria can't win it too. But at the end of the day, I was still number one last month.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Am I going to buy myself my own prize? Heck no. I got bills. I got wedding stuff. Still paying for it. Yeah, that was my prize. I got married. Congratulations. But we had to implement it to where, look, if you're not a true number one, if I sell 20 and you sell 15 and I can't win it, you're still not going to get Agent of the Month because you technically aren't Agent of the Month. You're second place. And with some of the responsibilities we have getting pulled off of stuff, not having as much time for the outbounds, having to go into meetings and things like that too. This should not be a case. It should not be awarded to a number two. And that's kind of with the leadership where if you say you can do it, then you back it up and do it.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And that's what we're doing. And that builds you so much street cred because, right, it's like we are not only talking the talk, but walking the walk. And I think, yes, there is a level of respect you have for someone who is a CSO or CFO or CEO with a degree who's either never been in the trenches, or maybe they were a long, long time ago. There is a degree of respect, obviously, they deserve. But the real true salt of the earth, like respect and deep, that you feel for someone is for somebody who is either in the trenches, is closely in communication with people who are in the trenches actively, who want to hear what's going on, who really want to push you to do your best and can lead by example. I think that just any bosses I've had in the past, the ones I truly, truly immensely respected were the ones that were just like that. That had no problem getting their hands dirty. They have no problem getting back to basics and lowering themselves to the level of the lowest employees and being able to do their job as well.
That's called show me.
Right.
Put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Don't tell me how to do it if you can't do it.
Mm-hmm.
And what you were talking about, Stephen, people are the same. I think our barometer of morality has changed in society. So the way we think has changed a little bit. Technology has certainly changed. And a lot of the people that we're dealing with, they came from an older technology. And some of them, they do a pretty good job keeping up with things. But it's not, you have somebody in your 20s talking to somebody who's 75. There's two different worlds apart. What is the common denominator, though, is your communication ability, be able to have a conversation with them and relate to them. The technology part, we can work through that. We can assist them with that. But the biggest hurdle we've had, and we've had it for probably a decade now, is the contact ratio. People are getting hammered so much, they don't want to pick up the phone. Salespeople have a bad name because you're just another annoyance. So, getting over that is a big problem. And being able to address that, and from a leadership standpoint, how do you address that? How are you going to fix that? You hear, oh, you're just not leaving good voicemails. Well, if the phone just keeps ringing and then they don't pick up, voicemails out of the question. So, there has to be a meld between technology and human reaction put together to make a successful situation.
So let's get controversial here for a second. With the steady flow of these companies that are just saturating the market, just hammering these people with phone calls.
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel that phone sales is on its way out?
Never.
Why not?
It's too easy.
Yeah, it's too easy.
It's cost effective.
You know, and you look at, do you want to drive around with gas prices like this? I mean, people have to go somewhere to buy something. I mean, I don't think we're ready to be replaced by a computer yet.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe down the road they will have robots that can do this. I don't know, but it's not dead. But there has to be a solution, and you know, I think the solution really is through referrals. You know, get driving incoming traffic. Depending on what type of media you're advertising on, people respond to TV ads. It's expensive, but it works. You know, you're driving incoming traffic. You're getting them to call you. I had a conversation with Jacob today, and this is a magic thing I found out a long time ago, because I'd have people in my calendar. I have an app half done, and they had a lead for some reason. And I need, like in this case, I need the guy's bank info. And I called him twice. I sent him an email, had him in my calendar. I'm like, you know what? And I do this. I just, okay, you're dead to me now. Off the calendar, whatever. It's dead. They call me right back.
Yeah.
Every time. As soon as you let go, they call me back. And I not only got him, but I got his girlfriend as well.
Yeah.
You know, and it just, I don't know. There's something to that. But again, they called me, and I had a problem with the app. I had to call her to get something straightened out with her Medicare number. And again, I couldn't get her on the phone, but I called her boyfriend, and he was able to get her on the phone. You know, so it's difficult to get people on the phone.
So basically what you're saying is that there is not even like a line, like a light at the end of the tunnel for sales on the phone will always be here, but you have to be diligent. You have to go above and beyond what you think sales on the phone should be, because everybody has their own way of handling how they talk on the phone, you know, like you giving that perfect example. So that does make sense that so phone sales will never die, but you just have to approach it differently as time progresses. Is that what I'm getting?
If you approach it as a business, so business first, right? The days of phone book dialing, here's a cold call list, 200-300 a day. I think that's slowly going away. And what people are finally realizing is okay, we can burn our time doing this and maybe get contacts for 2 or 3 a day out of 200, and just a low contact rate, but it's busy work. It's call numbers, where it's much more advantageous to not call out, but have calls in. You know, that live transfer leads, that's a growing market. You don't have a lot of automation in it. You don't really have a lot of control of who's going to call and what they're going to transfer over. All you know is that they're probably 60% going to be on Medicare. You know, that's your in right there, but you don't know if it's going to be Advantage Plan, D-SNP, supplemental. There's no way you can control that unless you are the one running it. But for these people coming in and they talk about selling leads, especially not live call-in leads, lead lists, things like that, I think that's going to go out the window, because soon enough, they're just going to click and go, really, the only way that we're going to do this is if people reach out to us. That's the only way that we're going to properly grow as a business, grow a book of business, you know, bring more agents in, have more opportunity for people if we can ramp up the inbound. Because once the inbound goes away, that's when you got to go back to the 200-300. Like I remember working for the hockey team, and, you know, Saturday games wouldn't start till 7. I would get there at 10 a.m. Not only number one, because I had stuff to do pregame, but you'd be surprised at how many people call in for tickets at 11:30, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock. And I'm at my desk and I've got college football on the TV on the wall up there watching it, and phone would ring and I'd pick it up and there's $90 worth of tickets. So I'd make $15 in 3 minutes just doing that. You know, that opportunity was there because the marketing was there, where it was driving in, where it was pick up the phone. Okay, what's your credit card? All right, what's your name? I'll put them at will call. And it was just easy picking. Now, on a Saturday, I'm not going to be calling individual game ticket buyers, trying to get them to come out for a Saturday game. It's too late. People already have plans. But that is really where this is going to go eventually. If you want to be a very successful agency, if you want to be a very successful agent, you have to focus more on your inbound than you do your outbound. Because the inbound is going to be there. It's going to come if you're doing everything correctly when you have somebody on the phone. You're going to get the referrals. You're going to ask about the girlfriend, the boyfriend, the wife, or the spouse. You're going to do all of that. Naturally, that will come in time once you get better. But if your pure focus is on outbound, you're going to stall. You just are. That's how it's going to be. If you're not focusing anything on any type of inbound leads or inbound marketing, you are never going to reach the top of your potential.
And it's not just our industry either.
Mm-hmm.
I spent 25 years knocking on doors back then and cold calling, and you could walk into places. Now, everything is very lean and mean. They don't want people coming in soliciting. They don't like solicitors. And there was a misconception that, every people calling, that's a laydown. No, we deal with a lot of desperate people that have bad health. They're calling in for help because nobody else can help them, which is a good thing, but it comes down to why would they want to call us? Who do you, what's your reputation out there? What drives people to call us rather than somebody else? And it just comes down to doing a good job and building upon that and creating a name for yourself. And, you have to have a reputation. You have to have good history, for people to want to call in and do business with us. So, as far as that, you're just beating your head against the wall, dialing, and then finally you'll get somebody on the phone and maybe 1%, 2%, if you're lucky. You get burnt out real quick. It takes a while to build on that, but there's a huge paradigm shift in the industry, and it's happened, years ago, and it's getting worse and worse. Really trying to cold call people on the phone. But it's like, why would, if I was okay, who am I going to call? I'm on Medicare now. I've got all these mailers coming in. I got people calling me. It's like, who am I going to do business with? I'm going to talk to my friends. Who do you have? A lot of people do that. They talk to their friends that are their age. They're on Medicare. Who are you doing business with? Oh, I do business with Jacob Crowdy. He did a great job. Guy's honest. And then that's where we have to set our expectation when we make sales. We have to set it up and let them determine who's going to be referred to us. You can ask for referrals, seed that properly. But if you do a good job, they have friends. They're going to tell people. They talk about that stuff.
Now, I think nowadays with the individuals that are turning 65, what I've noticed more is, number one, they can do a scope of appointment and signature within 15 seconds. You don't have to be on the phone with them. You can send them the props. So they know how to operate the technology. But what a lot of these people are doing, they're not necessarily going to a website to look. They're talking to their friends first. That's where a lot of our T65 business comes from, is just off of referrals of current policy holders. Just because they know that there's that service there attached with it. But those people know that they can go to Medicare.gov. They know they can go look. They know that they can go to, I had one lady that I did a T65 for. She went to 6 seminars, 6 of them. Did she sign up for something? No. At all 6 of them.
Probably.
She talked to me one time and we got her signed up.
Yeah.
Because she goes, I want somebody that my friends work with. And I was working with her, the lady that she worked with, and then retired. And they called me and she was like, I kind of know what I want. And I go, all right, then we'll go through the quick version here, not the long version. But that's really where it's going in the future. It's these people that are more connecting to the human aspect of Medicare sales, not the transactional aspect, where people are now, they're not buying the product, they're buying the person to help them out, versus where it was probably back in the day, you're going door to door, you're buying the product. You meet the guy one time and then that's it, because there probably was a whole lot of rewriting going on. back in the 90s, 2000s, even, end of 2000s, beginning of 2010s. But that's where a lot of this is going now. And that's where I think people really fail when we talk about marketing. The asset that you should be marketing is this, not out there. No, they don't care. What they're getting is they're getting Stephen Grip. That is what needs to be marketed. That's what needs to be on a billboard. Maybe we'll spruce you up a little bit, but put a little makeup on, be real pretty. little orange in the beard and the chin.
Yeah, clean up the gray. I get it. I get it.
But that's really what people should be marketing. You can just do blanket marketing and just try to get Facebook leads and people that click on stuff. That's like, do you want $1,400 back? Do you want to not have to pay for your Part B? Sure, you're going to get those people, but guess what? Those people click, and they click on everything because they suck us. That's what they are.
Yeah.
They see a deal and they click. That's it. Or would you rather want the one that says Stephen Grip, trusted agent, Medicare experience? Here's a list of all the reviews I've got. Give me a call if you need any help.
I'll have two ads, one with and without the gray, so I can get to the T65s, the olders.
I was going to say, so I am a window guy. Well, I still have him in my phone from 5 or 6 years ago. And will he call me back if I call him? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah. So I hear what you're saying. I'm like right there.
Yeah.
But going
Get
back
the
to
person, you can actually get them again.
Yeah.
your original question of is phone sales becoming obsolete? I think face-to-face is becoming obsolete because I think that in the past, people thought you could only bond with people and get them to warm up to you if it was face-to-face. But I think phone will never go away. It's a nice middle ground between actually getting to experience a live person and yet not having to physically go somewhere. They've got so much going on, they can fit that into their schedule. That's reasonable for most people. I think it's a nice middle ground. But I think it has to be ever evolving, which is doing the work to sell yourself over the phone, having more than one lead source over the phone. You have to keep, even though it's kind of an old-fashioned, form of communication, as long as you are keeping it in the present and, like I said, evolving as people evolve, I think it'll always be around. And I think it'll always be the best form of getting this stuff done.
Well, plus we have live stream now too.
Right.
You want to look at me, I used to tell people, well, I like face to face. I say, well, I got my picture on my email.
Yeah.
It's an old fashioned way of doing things.
I think it's classic. It's never going to go out of style.
It's never going to go out of style, but it is dwindling. And that is for sure.
It's a challenge for sure.
I can tell you one thing: when you're in the home, it's a lot easier to upsell.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they have to kick you out. I mean, when you're in the home, you can explain things, and once you're in there, they just can't hang up the phone and say they're busy with something. I mean, you're in there, you can really upsell with a lot of different things. It's a little bit more difficult over the phone.
And I'm sure that's
depending
true,
what they
but
wanna
that
do.
just doesn't fit into most people's lives now. And more, what is it? How many thousands of people are turning 65 every day?
10,000.
10,000. That means every day we're reaching a younger and younger population who is now into the future, the present with technology and then the way they do things. It's different than what it used to be generations ago, where they made the time to do the face-to-face and that does still work for some people, but now, like I said, every day these people are moving into the future. Less and less am I coming across people that can't do the scope of appointment or can't work a cell phone. So I think it's just now it's convenient for everybody.
I don't know where I read this, and I don't remember the exact date, but I'm just going to throw it out there to see if you guys know this. What year is it coming up? Maybe it's 2 or 3 years where the entire baby boomer generation will be 65. Has anybody read that at all? No? Okay, I have to look that up.
About that earlier today?
It's got to be pretty close because I'm at the tail end of baby boomers.
Didn't you say 29?
No, I tell you, I was talking about by 2029, there'll be 77 million Medicare recipients. 2030 is 77 million. Thank you. there'll be 77 million people on Medicare. But I remember, I'll have to look it up. When the last of the baby boomer generation will officially be 65. That means that coming up, we're going to have that's going to be like, that's me. Yeah. That's like my generation, like it'll be like coming up on the 50s and the 60s, like, cause I'm Gen X, but I'm like right at the 78, like I'm right in the cusp.
Young Gen X.
Yes, correct. So that's well, anyways. So what I want to do next, I want to put Penny on the spot. All right, Penny. Okay. So you have our mentors here. We've been discussing today about leadership and how the climate of Medicare is going and the sales are going. So let's say we have like a new agent coming in, which we actually do next week. We have a couple coming in next week. Okay, we have our excellent mentors coaching them on CRM, talking about how to, doing all the things that they do well. And they go to you and they turn to you and they say, hey, what is it like working here? Or what is it like being a Medicare agent? I don't know anything about this. What are you going to tell them?
I'm going to tell them it's great here. You have to do the work.
Right.
No one's going to do it for you. You have to do the work. But, you definitely are investing in yourself and you'll have a bright future. You just have to do the work.
Yeah. That's
what I'll tell them. And that we have great mentors and I love everybody here.
Penny's like, shut up, I'm trying to work.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, that's what we're working on. But yeah, I mean, and my next question to all of y'all is, how do we instill that knowledge of Medicare being the way that it is? I mean, it is by superficial level, a seasonal position. These corporate companies bring on seasonal positions and they just work for AEP and they let them go. But that's not what we do. We are independent agents and we know how the seasons work. We know how to talk to clients at that time of the year, whether it's AEP where it's more transactional. I'm not saying we are, but I'm saying it is more because we have to talk to more people. We know how to talk to people between January and March because those people are Medicare Advantage people that are disappointed or confused about their Medicare Advantage plan. And then you have April to September, where it's not slow, it's just different. We're talking to different type of people. So how do we instill that in new agents coming in? Like, hey, this is a very ebb and flow type job. And it's sales, and you have to have the wherewithal, yes, but you have to have the engagement at this particular time. How are you guys going to instill that into your agent? Or is that too soon for an agent to know?
Well, I think first of all, being an all year round agent, not just a fair weather agent, that in itself also builds you some street cred, because during the tough times, you're digging down deep and pulling yourself up by your bootstraps and figuring it out when the times are tough. And I think that we've been doing this at least a few years or more, each of us, that when a new agent for themselves sees what it's like, the difference between AEP and when it's slow, yet we're successful all year round, I think they'll be able to see by example, hey, man, they're tough because they're not just following the money when it's there and dipping when it's tough.
I'd like to go back a second here. You mentioned we have 10,000 people turning 65 every day.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't change.
Nope.
What changes? We have AEP and we have these other things. It's more incoming traffic really is what's happening. But the business is still there. The need is still there. What you have to figure out how to tap into some of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's going on. Somebody's running that business. Somebody's getting it. Where are they going to?
Yeah.
If they're not coming to you, why not? What are you doing differently? Sometimes we get used to the phone ringing during AEP and all of a sudden January hits and it's just like, okay, well, nobody's calling. So, I'm just going to kind of sit here. You really have to have the mindset of there is abundance out there. We just have to tap into it and we have to figure out how to tap into it correctly.
Yeah.
But going back to the year-round and how to bring it up, one thing when I train someone new, especially that is brand new to Medicare, and this is their first time working in Medicare, working over the telephone, whatever it is here, there's two things that I really hate. Number one is overwhelming them. Because at the end of the day, and this is what I tell people we interview, when you come in, just can you start a conversation? I don't need to teach you how to close. I don't need to teach you underwriting. I don't need to teach you any of those things if you can't have somebody on the phone for longer than a minute. You don't, because then it's just you're filling their brain with things that they're not going to use, but they think are important to try and push at the very beginning. So the more vague, we've been using that word a lot lately, but the more vague you can be from the beginning, just in the intro, that's the best thing. But number two, when we talk about year-round, I don't like to bring it up just because I don't want them to freak out when it is October or freak out when it is November or December and say, oh my God, just, this is crazy. This is crazy. Because at that point here, if you're starting tomorrow, you're a month in and AEP hits. You're going to freak out a little bit. We just have to keep you under control. Have you not, just lose everything because the phone won't stop ringing, but be conscious enough to know what's going on. Because it's jumping the gun is just, don't like overwhelming them. But number two, the one that really gets me is when people ask advanced level questions on like their first or second day. Where I just completely say, you do not even need to know that. Mm-hmm. You don't need to know why I looked at certain company. You don't need to know what the health questions are. You don't need to know necessarily IRMA rate ups or anything like that. I want you to know what Part A does. I want you to know what Part B does. But it goes back to the basics. Can you have a conversation? Because I don't care who you are. You could be the best salesperson. You could have the most Medicare knowledge. You could read every single sales book out there. You can go to all the conferences, shake all the hands, kiss all the butts, whatever it is. At the end of the day, if you and me are on the phone, if I can't hold you on the phone for longer than a minute, that's a waste of money. That's a waste of time. Not only the time of the person that did all the reading, but the time of the person that trained that person. I can't train you to be interesting. You have to have that yourself. That's why when it goes back to talking about the people we're interviewing, the people that are very timid and sit there immediately when it starts, I know they're not going to make it. I know that because there's just something about it versus somebody that comes in like lady we interviewed yesterday, they were saying it was a female. You were hyping me up. You're like, it's female Brad Jenkins. Mm-hmm. It's a female version of Brad Jenkins. Within 30 minutes after you left and shut the door, after I shook her hand, I sat down. She might have said 2 sentences, and I go, it's done. Mm-hmm. It's done. Like I didn't offer 30 seconds in. We were in here for an hour and 15 minutes. Yeah. Just talking. But I knew 30 seconds in, I was like, you can have a conversation. You have the right stuff to start. But when we talk about the different, where we're going with Medicare, we talk about leadership and everything like that. There's only certain things that you can train.
Because who cares if her interaction with you was it was just natural. She's been like that since the day she was born, or she had to train herself to teach herself to be that way. Mm-hmm. Who cares? She came to the interview having the skills that she needed. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And like myself, I'm not naturally an extrovert. I'm not a natural salesperson, but I decided I wanted to get into this because it helps people and I really believe in it and I feel like I'm good at it. And I had to, train myself and change my ways. It didn't always come natural. And now and then I'm like, I have to push myself outside of my comfort zone. But guess what? I do what I have to do, fake it till you make it, to, do it. And yeah. I'm admitting that it doesn't come naturally to everybody, but you do what you got to do to make it work.
This is where I think it's really funny for some of the most successful agents out there. Myself, I hate other people when I'm not working. Like, don't text me after 5:30. Just leave me alone. And that's for like my mom and my dad too. Or if it's something going on, okay, text me. But if it's just like a little frou text or something, I might get to you in a day or two. But
nobody here at work would have guessed that.
But
I'm going to tell a story after you tell your story.
I think those are the really successful people, are the ones that kind of go home and they turn off a switch. Like, I hate it when she's just so excited and just wants to talk and tell me about her day. And I've been on the phone for 6 hours. I'm just like,
You're done.
woman, give me a minute. Let me sit down real quick. Let me relax. Then we can talk. Because I've been talking all day.
Right.
But I think it's those people that, especially if you get a lot of people that were introverted when they were young, and then now you put them in this role where they have to be extroverted, it takes a certain type of person to be able to do that. Not everybody is going to be able to, but I always thought it's funny because, like I said, don't ever call me. I'm not going to talk on the phone to you unless you gave birth to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That's the only one who can.
Like, that's the only, my mom is the only one that calls me.
Right.
Keep it short.
Even if Shell calls me, I'm like, text me.
Your own wife that you just married.
Yes, my own wife that I just married. I'm like, text me. Don't call me. I was like, I talk on the phone for a living.
Yeah.
I don't want to talk on the phone when I'm
You're
not
done.
working. I'm done.
Right.
I'm done with it.
You know what's funny? I am the complete opposite. Like when I come to work, like y'all are my friends. So I talk on the phone like I'm talking to my friends. I talk to you. So if you want to talk 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock at night about work, that's fine because my work is my life. So I'm just living, like I'm just hanging out. I enjoy y'all's company. I enjoy like people I talk on the phone. So like if you want to call, that's fine. Like there is no, like I don't believe in work. I believe in living and I live this job. So when I'm talking to people, I'm like, I want people to come on board that I want to hang out with, that I want to like participate in the joys of life with. And I want that energy to translate or transmute over to the people that they talk to on the phone. So I've been I've been enjoying recruiting more because now my mindset is I want to bring on somebody that I want to hang out with. I want to bring on somebody that, that is cool, but also like, I also have a very, very strong work ethic. So that is hard to see. Like I work very hard. Well, dude, you're talking to me for 10 minutes. Of course you're gonna say that, So, but I've been really tapping into the people that are like, oh, I'm really enjoying talking to this person. That's gonna translate over the phone because they're gonna listen to this agent talk and be having a good time on this conversation.
And I think that's necessary because we spend time with each other sometimes more than with our own family.
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah.
you have to like the people you work with,
Right.
I
mean, but you don't. So that's my mindset.
get along,
Right.
have a vibe,
Yeah. I mean, I've had issues with Penny. She is sometimes very difficult to work with.
She is.
You have been. No, I'm just kidding. You are a saint. But I mean, that's what I'm kind of tapping into is when you talk to these people, like these interviewees, and you're like, oh yeah, you just know. You're like, oh, you're gonna do very well here, or like, no, you are going to be a thorn in this place, or you're just going to be struggling on the phone. But I do want to do a quick aside. I do text you every once in a while. In a blue moon, I send you some song recs, and you always text me back like, thanks for the rec, And I'm like, he responded. He did. Yeah.
There was one night, I forgot what it was, but we went back for like 30 minutes. I think we were texting about the Woodstock documentary. So
Yes, it was so great. It's like tears dropping.
Then I woke up and I was like, did I text Rip last
You did. I snapshotted. I'm like, Laura, he texted me back.
What about memes? Do you do memes? Should I add you my meme list?
That HEB meme was funny.
Yeah.
So, we
I always say the best.
we moved on to the Adrian, where's the camera? Which one is it? Is it that one? That one? Yeah. That one. We moved on to the Usher gift.
Oh my goodness.
We have. That's
Yeah.
a great one. But yeah.
Yeah. Oh, that's funny. So we were wrapping up here. We got 15 minutes left, but this is going to all of y'all. So there's something that I've seen when we bring on new agents and how they learn, whether they have sales experience or Medicare experience, whatever it is. But I have seen a tipping point with individual agents where you can see them, the gears are turning. They're starting to get it. But then there comes a point where they have to make a decision on how they're going to be in as an agent. It's so crazy that I see this. And it's when they are working and they're processing and they are learning, but then they say to either Jacob or someone around there, like, you know what I'd really like to do? I like to hear calls. I'd like to hear calls. And for me, it's like, no, I don't want you to hear calls. I want you to, I want you to put some reps in, because once you start hearing the call, you're gonna lose that edge. You're gonna start thinking, oh, this is how you do it. So my question to you is, when you have someone new like that, do you say, yeah, listen to Victoria's calls or listen to Brad's calls? Or do you say to them, you're not ready to listen to calls yet? Like, what is your philosophy on someone who's brand spanking new, not to sales, but to, Medicare? Do you feel like taking that route and telling them, yeah, listen to Penny's calls? Or do you say you're not ready? I want to hear your thoughts on that.
I think me and Brad Jenkins probably have the same mindset here on this one, where that is not a money generating activity.
Mm-hmm.
You don't
Listen
make
to your own
you
calls.
don't make money by listening to other people. You make money by you doing it. So the people that say, or I want to listen for a little bit, or can I watch and see what you do or anything like that? I'm like, no,
I'd say
do it yourself.
You make the call and I'll listen to you.
Right.
Yeah.
Say what you did wrong at the end.
Yeah, everybody that has been in
Or
here,
for that matter.
yeah, everyone that has come in here, and I'm working them on onboarding, everyone that has asked, I want to listen to calls, not here anymore.
Now, the funny thing with it, though, if you were to come to me, or you or anybody were to come to me and say, hey, can you go back and listen to that call that I had?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
We'll do that all day.
Right.
We'll go through that film. We'll break it down like John Madden did, R.I.P.
Mm-hmm.
Him and the Queen are playing for the catch together.
Oh, beautiful.
But if you're brand new and you're coming on and say, can I just listen for a little bit? That's completely different than doing, hey, can you go back and critique me on this call?
Yeah.
Now, if they do that, if they say, can you go back and listen and tell me where I went wrong or what I did good? Absolutely. I can do that. You keep going.
Mm-hmm.
But to have that creative avoidance is another Brad Jenkins term here.
Mhm. Yeah.
It's creative avoidance in people who are too scared to jump.
They're afraid.
It's
Yeah.
the equivalent
You're
of
afraid to
sitting in a
jump in the pool.
training class. You're not doing it. You're just reading about it or hearing somebody else or watching them do it. You do it. And we're not asking these people to do anything day one that we didn't feel confident they could do, which is to talk to people and have conversations and,
Well, if you're not
the
confident
breeze.
to get on the phone, you didn't do your homework.
Mm-hmm.
You have to be prepared and be confident to do it, and that goes with anything. We had a guy, Gideon Seaman, you can see his name pop up on some leads, He came in day one, he didn't know anything. Same thing with Steve Reedy, same thing. He didn't want to know. Here's your new Medicare card, throws it in the garbage. But he could sell everybody he got on the phone. Now, a lot of them canceled because he didn't know what he was talking about. These guys, Gideon, he would scam people, and he was like a magazine guy. Hey, I've got magazines, I'm going through college. He wasn't going through college. He was just scamming people. But he was one of these con artist guys that could step in, get on the phone, and fake his way through it. And people loved him, And we're like, wow, you hear this guy, man? He was great. He didn't know what he was talking about, but he was really good.
Yeah.
And eventually, as he learned the craft, it was even better. But eventually things dropped off because he was a little bit too much of a phony. But
He's in jail
some
now.
people.
The day one readiness.
Yeah, he wasn't
Yeah.
afraid to get on the phone and get it done. And we can teach people the technical parts of it, and you can learn Medicare and all those, and how to work all the different companies and applications. We can teach that stuff.
Yeah.
What we can't teach is that, go get itness, just you're going to jump in with both feet and get it done. That's what I had to do.
Yeah.
They didn't tell me anything. It's like, okay, there's your desk. Let me know if you need something. I'm like, I don't even know what I don't have.
Yeah.
Just got in there and just started selling.
Yeah.
You make some mistakes.
It goes back to this line that I just thought of. I can't teach you to want to hit get lead.
Mm-hmm.
I can teach you what to do once you hit get lead, but I can't teach you to have the want to have
You
the
should not be scared.
exactly. I can't teach you confidence.
Yeah.
That's something that you have to have on your own. I can't teach
Yeah.
you drive. That's something you have to have on your own. Sure, can we motivate? We absolutely can motivate. People take motivation in many different forms. But at the end of the day, there's only so much rah-rah you can do when it comes down to time. Here's a person, there's your headset, here's a button that puts a senior on the line with you. That person has to want to click that button.
Here's something I want to ask before we get out of here. Do y'all remember your very first sale?
I do.
You do?
I have it. I have a sticker on mine.
Really?
Pat Kitterman, March 28th, 2011.
What happened?
She died.
Not her, Brad. I'm talking about the sales experience. She's dead.
Well, I'll tell you what.
R.I.P. Yeah.
Yeah.
Talking about like what was it? What was it feeling? Like what? Tell us what
I
happened.
didn't know what I was doing. But
Yeah.
she was a nice lady, and we hit it off. And I just, I was just me. That's all it was. I was just me, and I got it done. And it wasn't anything special. I didn't do anything different, but I found out that, hey, this is all I have to do, really. I just have to have a conversation with these people and be honest and be trustworthy and everything else. And I'm like, this is it. And that started the whole chain, But I really didn't know what I was doing. I mean, I've only been on the. Now I was a setter prior, so I was used to talking to these people, and I had a lot of input from agents sitting in front of me, and I learned a lot from osmosis. However, I was a couple days into it, and I really didn't know much, but I'd had to figure out how to do the application and all that, and got really nervous with that, because I'm going to go to jail. I don't know what I'm doing.
Right.
But that's really what it comes down to, and that's would be my recommendation for anybody that's coming on. Just be yourself and be honest. That's all it is. That's really what sales is. People can pick that up, especially face to face. But on the phone, you have to have a different demeanor, I guess. I mean, it's really the same demeanor, but it's they don't have those extra things that they can see in you. So hey, you have to convey that. But
I remember mine, and it was one of my most favorite guys ever. I've actually told the story. This was the guy that got the lung transplant and then got COVID. But it was really funny because it was March, I think it was like 2019 or something. I applied for my license in April, and he called in. He was like, yeah, I'm going to be turning 65 in June. I want to see, I want to get everything set up. My wife's only 63, so it's just going to be for me, but I want to get to know everything. And he was out of Illinois. And so it's like, oh, okay, you big Chicago guy. And so we just started talking. And then in my head, I go, if I sandbag this for another month, I can have my name on the application. So I go, you know what, Robert, we can't, we can't do anything right now. It's a little bit too early, but let me call you in a month and we can get it done. And he was like, okay, perfect. Got my first appointment with Renaissance Insurance Company.
Nice.
Okay. This was the only 2 policies I ever did with them. I even threw in their Renaissance Dental, and I had no idea what the benefits were. But me and him just connected so much, and I made Renaissance sound like it was the most top-tier company. It actually was, in fact, at the end, because he was in the hospital for 171 days, and he never got a bill, and he had an organ transplant and COVID.
I didn't know they had that.
So it's, well, yeah, I didn't know either, Brad. I don't know what the hell I was doing.
That's right.
I just saw dollar signs and my name on the application.
Yeah.
But that turned into
You dreamed it, and it was.
exactly that turned into such a good. And I still remember because I took the phone call, and then in my head I'm calculating. I'm like the appointments take like 2 weeks, and I just did this, and I just finished my CirCon like last week, and he's gonna start 6/1. Let me just do it like into April just to make sure. And sure enough, when I got that appointment, I went in, I could do the application. I called him. I was like, all right, got to get you taken care of here. And I'll never forget him, RIP. I sent him and his family flowers when he passed away. He was such a cool guy, but it led to a relationship. Now I'm his wife's agent, and she absolutely loves me. And I love them as a family too. So it's kind of funny with those first ones that you have that you don't really know the impact that it has on you.
Yeah. I remember my first one. I was a mess on the phone because I'm trying to, like I said, talk, educate. I'm going to show that I'm going to be the best agent out there because I'm so smart. I'm a great reader. Nowhere. So I get this one lady on the phone, and she was like a borderline MAPD. she had some money issues. She was trying to get off of her Medicare supplement plan. And she's like, I've been reading about this Medicare Advantage plans. And I'm working for a company that does no Medicare Advantage plans. So I have no idea what they are. No idea. And it's 2019. So
That was a dirty word.
it was forbidden. Yes. So I can't even speak against it because I have no idea what it is. But I remember for that first moment, I'm like, I'm just going to talk to this person like a human being. And I just asked her questions. I said, well, what's going on with your life? Like I was talking to her, and she's like, explaining that she's having marital issues, and she just she divulged in her personal life. And I realized, like, oh my God, like we're having a conversation. Like I'm not selling her anything. I'm just talking to her. And then what I did was I said, well, look, it sounds like you have some health issues. And I know that this is going to prevent you from dealing with any type of problem with your health. And she's like, you're right. And then all I did was it was an underwriting, and I didn't underwriting. What? I have to underwrite? What are you talking about? So I just, I said, listen, this is something that we got to do. And after learning about it, we switched her plan. And Jason Blevins, who's helping me, he's holding my hand, he's like, ask these questions, go over this process. And she just went right through me. And the reason that she stayed with me is because I had that connection. And after I did that, it was a light. It's like I don't have to sell them anything. I just have to talk to them and just be a human being with them and create that connection and be myself. How hard that may be. Some people, I'm likable sometimes, I'm unlikable other times, but find that connection, find the connection, find the concern that helps them realize that I'm here to help you. I'm not here to sell you anything. And then from there, it's all uphill because I knew that I was helping that person. I knew that whatever happens in their life, they knew that I took care of them. That was what was most important.
Yeah, you have to have common ground.
Yeah.
When I sold in the home, they used to always say, look around the walls, find stuff you can talk about and get some commonality on that, and you have to get that common ground, and it's anchoring is what it is. That's all it is. You're just using that as an emotional crutch to fall back on and create a conversation. Yeah. But that's the key, really. I mean, once you start going into business and all this stuff, we do this every day, but let's face it, it's complicated. The average Joe Blow. Even after you explain it to them, they're like, yeah, that's why I have you guys. I don't want anything about this. Yeah. I had a doctor once. I told him I went through everything A and B, and he called me 6 months later and says, well, what's this with my Part B? How come it's so expensive? I thought my supplement was my Part B. I'm like, Doc, we went through this, buddy.
Yeah.
You got to pay a lot because you make a lot.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the relationships that we have. Go back to that. It's really, that's what it is. And can we teach that to a certain extent? People that come from a product widget industry where you're selling widgets, it's different. You still have to create relationships there, but it's a different sale. It's, features, benefits type selling, and here it's strictly really, we have to create these relationships with clients,
You got 2 minutes. Do you remember your first sale?
Yeah, it was around March 2019, and she was in open enrollment. It was a lady. She was really sweet and patient. I think that's exactly what I needed. And she's like, I don't know anything about Medicare. I just want to be like, well, lady, you and me both. And I just, it was right. Kind of all the training just went right out the window.
Yeah.
And I'm sure I know I stuttered through the whole thing, but I guess she found that endearing, and I still do from time to time. But she, I think she could see that, and I didn't have to tell her I was new. She could probably sense that. Yeah. But I think she just liked that I was a real person. I was willing to take the time and ask her about her life so we could figure it out. And we're both very patient with each other, and we just went down the road together. And I just did it as myself, not as a fake person, and just tried to do right by her. And it was really successful. And she even said at the end, "You did great, and I feel really good about it." And that was a nice one. That's
what's so beautiful about Medicare and the Medicare industry is that you come in here thinking, like when I do these interviews, they're like, "Oh, I'm a top salesman. I'm into this, I'm that, I'm this." It's like I don't care. Mm-hmm. that when you talk to these people, they are scared. They are being bombarded with all of these calls and all of these predators, and they're just looking for some genuine honesty. And when you have that experience, you can't tell that to a new agent and say, you got to have this. No, you don't have to have anything. You just have to have that one thing. And that's that common ground. That's that genuine article, the human being capability of having a conversation with somebody. That untenable, unteachable quality. If you come in and you can talk to me and I enjoy talking to you, you are going to do very well here. I like that.
I agree.
You want to end there?
Yeah.
You got something to say? You said,
Penny's-
Oh, well, all I was gonna say is
oh,
my first sale was in a different company,
uh-huh,
under very stressful conditions.
uh-huh.
I don't remember it at all.
Really?
On to the next, let's go.
Oh my
That was
goodness.
it. That was it.
Oh, wow, that's crazy.
Yeah, so here, I can tell you.
Yeah, tell us your first sale here. Yeah.
Here, one of my very first sales was the one with all of those medications.
That was your first lady.
That was one of my first ladies here.
Wow.
What a first
That it was
Yeah.
like 4 or 5 phone calls.
Yeah.
And, you know.
That was your
I almost put
Vietnam.
myself in a hole in that one.
Oh,
I know.
That's a
I know
lot,
y'all
yeah.
did. Drive
well, you
up.
did. I mean, both of y'all, that's still one of my favorite experiences.
Yeah.
Watching from the
Very
sidelines.
bonding experience.
It was.
So a second memorable experience, I think, for me, for most people, is your first doctor. When you're like, holy cow, I'm teaching a doctor this stuff. Oh my
Right.
God,
Yeah.
little old me. Like, and
Yeah.
yeah, they have to learn it 'cause
Yeah.
they don't know it.
I don't know if you guys have had this, but have you ever sold someone who is also an agent? I've done that a couple
Oh,
times
no.
too. Yeah.
I've got agents, yeah, they send me
Yep.
referrals for the
Oh,
they hate Medicare, and they give me their Medicare
Yep.
stuff. And
Yep.
I want, somebody that wants like a whole life plan or whatever, $400,000, I can give it to them. And
Yeah. Awesome.
That's great.
Cool. All right, guys. Well, wonderful dojo today. I love talking about leadership. I love hearing your stories, and I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. And we're going to do this again on Monday. So if you all are watching, enjoy your weekend. And Grip is out. Thanks, guys. And your interviews here.